to shoot a beautiful villa in Jumeirah Islands in Dubai. Quite pleased about this because we've been invited back by the same developer. We shot one for him a while ago, and I think many agents brought photographers to shoot the property, but he liked ours the best, which means I'm shooting 3 more today, so 3 in a row. So I'm going to do a little walkthrough on one of them and show you my process. A few people have asked me to show them how I go about my shoot and how my settings change depending on each room, and how I use my flash for my flash and ambient blending. So we're gonna show you everything today and have a complete walkthrough of my shooting process. So let's get to the villa and get shooting. See you in a bit. So here we are, just going into the driveway of the villa. Just going to show you quickly the front and back of the villa. These are some clips from a video that I'm shooting at this, on the same day. So I also shoot video as well as photos. I'm a busy man. As we go in, lovely bright white modern villa, lots of natural light coming in, and we've got these different heights of ceilings, so it's interesting to show you this property for that reason. So I'm going to set up for the first shot of this huge area in the middle with the big picture window. Fire off my first ambient shot, and as you can see, my settings are there. I'm always keeping ISO 100. F8 is a beautiful place to put your aperture because it's one of the sharpest areas you'll get. And I'm just adjusting the exposure so that my histogram, as you can see in the top right, is exposed around about the middle, or even just slightly to the right. Next up is the flash shot. So I'll adjust my exposure and my flash settings with a high ceiling, full power for the flash, and I'm going to go to 160th of a second to bring down the exposure for the windows and to balance that out beautifully. The only thing is you can see a reflection of the flash in the window, so we'll need to take another shot without the flash, and that will be our repair shot, and we can use that just to mask in some of the view from the window. And that's our final edited image. Now I'm going to show you how I edit those 3 images to create that final image at the end of this video, so stick around for that. Now on to the next room. This is the master bedroom. Ceilings are a lot lower, so I need to keep an eye on my exposure and get my histogram just in the middle or slightly to the right. Ended up being 1/20th of a second. You can see the histogram there at the top. Now I'm going to fire off my ambient shot, and you can see it there. The only thing we've got problems with here is the window is there's no view through the window, and also some glare from the light coming through onto the wooden flooring. So we're going to hit a flash as well, so adjust the exposure again, go it down, watch the histogram, and keep that so you're exposing for the windows. And then you're going to use the flash, bounce it off the ceiling. Just half power was enough for this low room, and I want to make sure I'm shooting it straight up or backwards off a white wall, not forwards, because otherwise you'll get white spots in front of you and also bad shadows. So that is our flash shot there at 1/100th of a second. And you can see it's looking nice and balanced, but you've got a couple of problems there. You can see on the left hand side the window frame is reflecting the flash, so we need to make sure we get rid of that. And you've got some obvious flash shadows as well. So we're going to take a repair shot just in case we need that for the window. Just turn the flash off and hit it again. And then we have our final image there where I've got rid of the reflections of the flash in the windows, and I've blended in everything so it has natural shadows and is still nice and bright with a good view. Let's just do one more room. So this is a small office, low ceilings. So we're going to take our ambient shot first of all. As you can see, the settings for this is just 1/30th of a second. I'm keeping ISO 100 and f8. The only thing here is we don't have the view, and we've got the light glaring off the floor as well, ruining detail in the stone floor. So we want to get that back using a flash shot, so we can see the histogram's gone way down there, so I can expose for the windows. And then I'm going to hit it with about 1/4 power flash, because obviously, as I said, the ceiling is quite low and also it's a small room. So this is our flash shot, and what I've done here, and on purpose I've showed you the error. You can see obvious shadows from the flash. So you need to be careful how you're directing your flash to make sure you're not creating obvious shadows like that, because it can make it difficult when you're doing the flash and ambient blending, especially when using luminosity mode, which you should be using to get the correct colors. So I would need to take that shot again and move my hand to the left just so that I can get around that corner of the wall and not have any shadows creeping in. So the next shot I've done there, you can see has got no shadows, and then I'll be able to edit that much easier. And this is the final edited image there, so the view has come through beautifully, but it doesn't look too dark and painted on. We've got natural shadows that I've blended in, and it's not an obvious flash shot. There's no shadows from the flash anywhere to be seen at all, and all looks perfect. Right, one more bonus one, and this is just a small bedroom, low ceilings again. So when you go into a room, it's important that you have hairy legs and you set up your tripod very nonchalantly. Get yourself into the corner of the room and set up your tripod legs to make sure that they're nice and level, and then you're going to adjust the height of your tripod so it's about 6 to 8 inches above the surface of the bed for the best results and the best angle. So I'm just going to drop that down a little bit and get ready for my ambient shot. So I'm just going to adjust the histogram so it's central or slightly above center, or slightly to the right of center I should say, and that happened to be 1/15 of a second. Again, ISO 100 and f8 for all of these shots. Then I'm going to keep the tripod perfectly in position for the flash, and I'm going to adjust the histogram so that I'm exposing just for the view, and then I'm going to compensate with the flash to light the room. I'm going to bounce it off the wall and into the room to give the softer light, and that's my flash shot at 1/100th of a second. And then finally we're going to take a repair shot if we need it. If not needed, then we can just go straight into the edit and get editing. And then we have the final image, and as promised, I'm going to show you how I edit all of these shots right now. I've got first of all the ambient shot, and then we have, if there's any errors while I do this, I'm sorry, but this is going to be recorded from start to finish with all the mistakes that are in there, so you can see how much of an idiot I can be. And we can all make mistakes. So here we are, ambient and the flash shot and the repair for the window. So first of all, let's start off with the ambient shot. Now I've got the info button on so you can see everything here. So you can see I've got 1/40th of a second for this, but all I'm doing when I'm setting up for my ambient shot, as mentioned before, is looking at the histogram here in the top right, and I just want that to be nice and even, about in the middle or slightly to the right. For the flash shot, I'm taking the exposure down, so I'm increasing my shutter speed. On this one it's 1/160th of a second, still at f8 and ISO 100, and I'm shooting the flash, as mentioned before, directly up into that high ceiling. And the reason we're using flash is because we want to get rid of some of the problems with the ambient shot, and I'll go back to ambient and quickly show you now. Now it's not bad, but what we can see here is on the table here, it's a bit of a mess, and with the reflections, and also on the nice stone flooring we've got a loss of some of the detail and also some color casts coming in from outside, and also on the left hand side the same thing. And also the view is slightly dampened because we're exposing for everything for the inside rather than the view. So with the flash hitting that full power off the ceiling, we managed to create a much better color cast, a lot less color cast, so it gets rid of all of these ambient light coming in, so you can see the detail in the flooring, and the colors are much more crisp and correct. Also the ceiling and the sides here are much more crisp and correct, the colors are not wrong. If we go back here, you'll see we've got a lot of ambient light coming in, and it makes a bit of a mess on the floor. Okay, so what we need to do is to blend these together. And what I've done also is one extra shot, which is the window repair shot. So I think I might have done the same settings, 1/160th of a second. So basically all I'm doing is taking in another shot but without the flash on. So I'm just turning the flash off and hitting another exposure. So the window reflection isn't there from the flash. We can just literally mask some of that view in if we want to. So let's go into Photoshop. So all we're going to do now is take those 3 images, highlight them all, right click on that. Now let's go back. See, I told you I'd make mistakes. First thing we want to do before we bring them into Photoshop is just to do some little corrections on this. I'm not going to adjust the geometry, I'll do that at the end. So we're going to do the exposure, and we're just going to increase that a little bit so I can brighten up the inside. It doesn't matter about the white balance on your ambient image, and I'll show you what I mean. We can actually mess this color right up. Let's just make it blue just for fun. Okay, I'll show you why later. Then we'll go to the flash, and we will, I know this is white, so we're just going to select our white balance picker and click on the ceiling there, and then we can adjust the exposure a little bit as well. I want it a little bit brighter. That looks perfect. Now for the window repair, you can do whatever you like with this if you want to do some color corrections, but I like the blue and the green window. That looks perfect. So now we're good to go. Highlight them all, right click, and then go to edit, and then open as layers in Photoshop. I have a swig of water because I've been talking constantly for about an hour now. Now the annoying thing about Photoshop now, since they changed it, is you have to click on it. It doesn't just open up. Anyway, never mind. So now we're going to highlight all of these, and we're going to go to, well, you can add a shortcut or keystrokes for this. I have, but I'll show you anyway. Go to edit and then go auto align layers. Click OK. Okay, so that will do the alignment adjustments. You can see with the little gaps around the outside that it has done that. So there was some slight movements when I was taking this shot. Even though I have a 2-second shutter delay, I am changing the settings in between shots on my camera. So it does move slightly, but not enough that it's going to worry it. It will repair it quite easily with the auto align adjustments. So now I've got my ambient layer on top, I've got my flash underneath, and I've got my repair if I need it for the third layer. So then I'm going to mask that first layer, which is my ambient. So go down to add layer mask, click option, and click the mouse, and that will mask that out, so you'll see just the flash image below. So now what I want to do is take a brush, and I've got my settings up here as a soft brush, quite large, opacity 100 and the flow about 11. And then I'm going to take some of this. Now, there's a mistake. Now you see the blue coming through? That's because I haven't changed blending mode to luminosity. So luminosity blending is basically just bringing in the light, not the color. So you want to make sure you change it to luminosity. If you keep it at normal, then you'll get all of the ambient light and the different colors that you don't want coming through. Now, the way this works is luminosity will just bring the light from the ambient. So you'll get the nice shadows from the ambient, but you won't get any of the nasty color casts from the ambient light. So now I can just bring that in. And I can do it as much as I want. I don't care if I go over this window. I can do less, I can do more. It's up to you. But I like to have as much natural shadows from the ambient shot as possible coming in. So I'm going to just bring that in there as much as I want. Okay, so that looks perfect. If you don't do that, then it looks like a flash shot. It will be obvious. But this is perfect now because it has all the ambient shadows coming in from the light that's coming from these windows. So I'm happy with that. I'm just going to go now and just merge those two. And I'm going to bring my window repair shot up to the top. Now I'm going to mask that in like I did last time. Add layer mask and go hide. And now all I want to do is just concentrate on this main big window. So I'm going to get my lasso tool, hit L, and I'm just going to draw around the window. It doesn't have to be too exact. I'm not going to zoom in and take ages to do this because, well, you'll see why. Let's just go around and finish that off. It takes a few seconds. You don't have to take too long to do this. And now you've got your selection. I'm going to hit B for my brush again. Just make sure that I've got the white foreground selected and not the background. And then I can just paint over. You can increase this if you want, but I like to keep it at that. So just going to brush that in. And because I've got a soft brush, it doesn't really matter about this line down the bottom. So I'm not going to go too much down the bottom. It's just up here that I'm worried about. There we go. So once I've done that, I can hit Command D to deselect, and that's done. Now if you want, you can do it with the other windows and bring a bit of that back in. You can use the wand tool and just click around there and just add a little bit of darkness back to the windows there if you want to do that. Sometimes it's easier to use the lasso tool, but just for this example, I'm just going to do it very quickly like this with the wand. See, that's not worked very well, but we can bring back some of the darkness to stop the that light coming through onto the window frame, which I didn't like too much. The only problem with the lens that I'm using, which is a cheap cheap f2.8 16mm lens, is you get quite a lot of problems with chromatic aberrations, these purple fringing you get here, but that's easily removed, especially if you are masking in some of the darkest shot. But I can get rid of that in Lightroom. I'll show you how to do that. Command 0 takes you back out to view the entire picture, and we are good to go. It's that easy. It'll only take you a couple of minutes to do this, and you'll get quicker and quicker as you go on. So just hit X and save, and that'll bring it back into Lightroom in a couple of shakes. And there we are. So now all we need to do is just get rid of the lines around the outside of this. So let's hit the crop button and just bring that in a touch. And done. So let's just do one thing, zoom in on this purple fringing and see if we can get rid of that. Usually if we go into lens correction, we can just defringe that, and there you go, that's done. Great. So now the last thing you might want to do is just maybe adjust slightly the brightness. If you want it to really pop, you can increase the whites a little bit like that, and maybe the highlights down so you can see the windows a little bit better, the view through the window. If you want a little bit more contrast, however you want to do it, but just small adjustments and see how they go. And there you go, that's it done. And that won't take you as long as it took me, because I'm showing you. It will only take me 1 to 2 minutes to do that in Photoshop. So I really hope that helped, guys. And please comment below if you want any more details, or if you want me to show you anything else. And God bless you all.